Welcome to the Daily Views on September 19th in 2021. Today we start in Strasbourg in France. With large-scale citizens' debates, the EU wants to become more approachable and transparent. The first so-called European Citizens Forum gathers 200 randomly selected Europeans in Strasbourg this weekend. They should exchange ideas in the premises of the EU Parliament on topics such as the economy, social justice, education, and digital change. There should be many more such debates on various topics by mid-January, digitally and face-to-face. The citizens' forums are part of the Conference on the Future of Europe. This should, also via an online platform, develop proposals for the future of Europe by spring 2022. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen recently emphasized that she wanted to take these proposals very seriously. And now let's go to New York in the United States of America. During the general debate of the UN General Assembly in the coming week, jellyfish are set to swim on the main building of the United Nations in New York. A Danish artist collective wanted to project moving images of so-called state jellyfish onto the north side of the 39-story building in Manhattan at night, the UN announced on Friday. This is intended to draw attention to the importance of heads of state and government to work in harmony for the well-being of all species on this planet. The General Assembly is the United Nations Parliament, so to speak, in which each member country has one vote. The high point of the session is the general debate every September, attended by heads of state and government from all over the world. This year's general debate begins next Tuesday, including the first speech by Joe Biden as US President at the General Assembly. And now let's go to Buenos Aires in Argentina. After the severe setback in the primaries, the Argentine government is shaken by a serious crisis. In a long opinion piece on her website, Vice President Cristina Kirchner settled with head of state Alberto Fernandez on Thursday. I said that a wrong austerity policy is being pursued, which has a negative impact on economic activity and thus on society as a whole, and that this will undoubtedly have consequences for the elections, wrote the former head of state. She was that from 2007 to 2015 on Thursday on her website. And she wrote, "I have always told the president that I am concerned about the tense social situation." In the primaries on Sunday, the left government coalition Frente de Todos, that's the alliance of all of them, suffered a heavy defeat. The primaries actually only served to clear the party spectrum before the parliamentary elections on November 14th. However, the vote is also considered a mood test for the government. After the election failure, a bitter power struggle broke out in the governing coalition between the supporters of President Fernandez and the followers of ex-head of state Kirchner. Several ministers from Kirchner's environment offered to resign, thus triggering the government crisis. With the move, they apparently wanted to force a broader cabinet reshuffle. "The governance will develop at my discretion. That's what I was elected for," wrote Fernandez on Twitter on Thursday. So far, the influential Vice President Kirchner was considered to be the real power in the Argentine government. Argentina is in a serious economic crisis. The inflation rate is around 50%. The national currency peso is falling more and more against the dollar. In the once rich country, 42% of the people now live below the poverty line. Problems with the procurement of corona vaccine and private celebrations during the quarantine in the presidential palace had also recently brought the government into criticism. And now let's go to Washington in the United States. With a new security pact in the Indo-Pacific, the USA, Great Britain and Australia have offended allies and sent a clear signal to China. The plan includes helping Australia build nuclear-powered submarines. China, which is facing international criticism because of its increasing claim to power in the region, sees itself provoked by the tripartite alliance. France foamed with anger on Thursday because its own multi-billion-dollar submarine deal with Australia has now probably burst. Australia's neighbor New Zealand wants to ban such submarines from passing through. The USA, Great Britain and Australia had previously announced this new security alliance. The US government under President Joe Biden announced that it would allow Australia to acquire nuclear-powered submarines to strengthen security and military deterrence in the Indo-Pacific. Biden spoke of a rapidly evolving threats and historic steps. In the next 18 months, a way should be found so that Australia has such modern submarines, according to a joint statement with Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. The USA and Great Britain would share their expertise on this. And now, let's go to Athens in Greece. Heads of government and foreign ministers from 9 EU Mediterranean countries will meet in Athens for a summit. After the devastating fires this summer in Greece, Italy and France, the climate crisis is said to be one of the main topics. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen was also expected. The issue of migration was also on the agenda. Because of the Afghanistan crisis, Greece, Cyprus and Italy in particular fear a renewed increase in the number of refugees. The relationship with neighboring Turkey and the relationship between Southern Europe and the EU are also being discussed. At the Humid 9th summit, Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis received Ursula von der Leyen, French President Emmanuel Macron and Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi, as well as heads of state Pedro Sanchez of Spain, Andrej Plenković of Croatia, Nikos Anastasiades of Cyprus, and Robert Abela from Malta, Janez Janša of Slovenia, and the Portuguese Foreign Minister Augusto Santos Silva. And now we have to get back once more to Strasbourg in France. The EU Parliament is pushing for a visa program specifically for Afghan women who are threatened by the radical Islamist Taliban. The MEPs passed corresponding demands on Thursday. In the legally non-binding resolution, the Strasbourg Parliament also insists that the EU states reassess current and recently submitted asylum applications by Afghans, including those that have been rejected. Under no circumstances should people be deported to Afghanistan at this moment. The militant Islamist Taliban had taken power in the Central Asian country in August. Observers fear that women in particular could face reprisals. The EU Commission expects a considerable number of people to flee. And now we have to go to Riga in Latvia. Latvia's Health Minister Daniels Pavluts survived a vote of no confidence on Thursday. In the parliament in Riga, only 34 of the 100 MPs voted for the removal of the head of the Liberal ruling party for development, it's called in translation. 50 parliamentarians voted against the motion brought by members of the opposition alliance of Farmers and Greens. They blamed Pavluts for the low vaccination rate in Latvia and problems in dealing with the corona pandemic. In the Baltic EU and NATO country with 1.9 million inhabitants, only 42% of the population are currently fully vaccinated. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.